I still regret it. Even after 35 years, I still have mixed feelings about leaving. My motivation for posting this is unclear, but I feel the need to get it off my chest. I, 60, married my high school sweetheart when I was 18 years old. He was well educated, bright, and charming, and the kind of guy who would hold a room's attention. He was incredibly outgoing. Despite the fact that I am really timid, we were a great match. After 25 years together, we were the parents of two little children, and I was pleased with my life. Then my wife started a new career, and she was doing well, gaining promotions and staying on the job for extended periods of time, so you can see where this is going. By the way, you're completely wrong. I had a relationship with her. I was becoming more angry with her since she was out working late to provide for our children. She was not at home to make dinner, and I had never bothered to learn how to cook until this incident occurred. Because I didn't do it, the laundry would pile up for a few days, and I would be responsible for picking up the kids from school while she was away at work. Nevertheless, I never expressed my feelings, and every day when my wonderful wife returned home, I put on a brave front and pretended everything was okay, even though it clearly wasn't. I'm certain that if I had spoken my feelings to her, she would have listened, but I didn't. In the course of a work function, I met a lady with whom I chatted on the phone for many weeks. Then, 2 weeks later, I wrote my wife a birthday card in which I expressed my feelings for her and how beautiful she was, and then I walked out on her. The worst part was that she never yelled or screamed at me. She did nothing except stand there and watch me pack up my possessions, all while my children were playing in the next room, completely oblivious of what was going on. She didn't say anything, just stood there crying softly. I caused pain to the one who is the most important in my life. She was dismissed because she was unable to cope with the school run and the extra child care arrangements. Looking back, I can't believe how self centered I was. The woman who I had fooled and who was now responsible for raising my children on her own has requested extra monies in order to provide for them. I just saw them every other Saturday, and that was about it. My AP and I were estranged very soon. She didn't want anything to do with me, and she didn't want anything to do with me in particular when I was almost bankrupt due to alimony payments, which she took advantage of. In spite of the fact that she never expressed how much she was affected by my actions, I could hear her sobbing herself to sleep on the few occasions when I had to stay over with the kids for whatever reason. When I left, my wife was the one who eventually filed for divorce because every time she asked if I had hired an attorney, I replied, "I'm not ready," and she eventually filed because she said it was too painful. I spent years resenting my wife for stealing my money, when in reality, she had done nothing wrong, and I still loved her but was too proud to admit it. When I was unhappy, I would say things like, "I haven't loved you in a long time, but I have stayed for the children," and she would never say anything in response. That's something I'll never be able to forgive myself for ever again. She was adamant about making things work, and she fought for me every day for months, but I was indifferent in her efforts. She admired me despite the fact that I disliked her. Then she met Mark, who was much older and wiser than she was, and he fell in love with her in the same manner that I should have fallen in love with her. He was and continues to be a lovely and kind gentleman towards her and my children. Seeing someone else fall in love with the person you were intended to be with for the rest of your life is one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced. Then you should have fought for me because I would have loved you forever if you would have let me, she said when I told her 2 weeks before her wedding. On the day of her wedding, I drove to the church and waited outside in my car, telling myself I would object to the wedding, but I didn't. I was a little disappointed. 30 years have passed, and seeing that written in front of me now makes me feel just as bad as hearing it 30 years ago. Having to see her with him for all these years has served as my penance, and although I've had the odd connection with her, nothing substantial, I will never forgive myself for what I did. Today would have been our 42nd wedding anniversary, which should have been our punishment. My belief is that infidelity is not something that can be fully recovered from. Rather, it is something that must be learned to live with. Story 2. How do you heal and feel okay with throwing away 2 years of love, sweat, and lots of tears invested into a relationship? Where is the silver lining in this situation? You just sense the harm and move away. This connection only harmed you and slowed you down. They took your money, your hope, and your happiness by wasting your time and degrading your self esteem. You feel like you've learned nothing significant or useful. You're torn because you still care and love this person, but you're also angry and disgusted with them for what they've done to you. You're enraged. The blinders progressively melt as your love covers up the dreadful. You no longer see people through rose colored glasses, or in their potential or imagined version, but for who they are and what they have shown you. How can you overcome terrible feelings of sorrow, fury, and even hatred for the person who exploited you? Whether they cheated, lied, pretended to want a relationship, then abandoned you like old hard cold McDonald's French fries for the birds to eat, I can't let go. It forces me to face my demons. Why did we end up together? As if it were all a plot to use me. I now see how closely I held on to a lie. I had to believe he loved me or everything would be terrible. It was my strongest tool for forgiving him and moving on from his perverted act against me. If he liked me, it was probably an accident, and I justified my silence. But if he didn't, he was a predator, an abuser who saw me as a naive, innocent target. That's why I felt I could make such a big difference in the relationship. I need to think he cared about me. That was correct. It encouraged me to give my all, which exacerbated my situation. I hate having feelings for him and wanting him back in my life. He is unusually comfortable in his own skin. As I grew older, he became a source of refuge, hope, and fantasy for me. He was everything I wanted in a man, but reality did not match my hopes and dreams for him. A lot of potential there, but we seem to be on two separate time schedules. We are always available at two times for each other. The departure time is different even though it is the same train ticket. The issue was that I was willing to wait for him, but he was not. It's difficult to let go of someone you've invested so much in. My rejection rate for genuine excellent men was sky high, and some of them were better than him. These are the things I've given up for someone who has used, cheated on, and humiliated me. Someone who was neither loyal nor trustworthy. I'm tired of it. I wish that it weren't true. It hurts my heart. This man put us up for failure, and despite my efforts to clean up his own mess, he just made matters worse. I hate this person and everything they've done to me, including their lies and dishonesty. This person is the most liar, let down, and self centered person I've ever met. I gave them multiple chances to make amends, but they chose to make matters worse. I want to leave them because I deserve so much more. How can you forget about someone's sentiments, profound connection, and hope?